Want to grow your business? Spice FM are here to help. Let us promote your brand, product, service, or business on air, online, on web. We can reach an audience that no other local radio can reach. Broadcasting on 98.8 FM and nationally and globally online. For more information, visit us now, spicefm.co.uk.
Spice FM. Spice FM. Sick of the same old radio sound? Then you need vibrant radio. Spice up your life. Spice FM, 98.8 FM.
Dan, good morning.
Good morning, Jalf. How are you?
I'm good. Yourself?
Yeah, all good. I was sort of just getting a little bit unnerved there that I hadn't seen you.
You know what? I'm actually at a different restaurant today, and I haven't opened up here for such a long time. I couldn't work out the keys. So I outside in panic, thinking, right, I better kind of get in as quickly as I can. And in the panic, you kind of pick up the wrong keys, and eventually I found the right one and got in here. But I must apologize for that. And secondly, I must also apologize because I've got a meeting at 10:45, so I'm going to have to finish around about 10:30, 10:35-ish today. So we might have to call it an early show. But how you doing, Dan? How's things?
Yeah, all good. We've had another busy week here at the SME Centre of Excellence. I think it's probably the time of year where everybody's desperate to kind of cram in and get everything finished in terms of what they've been working on, and then start to kind of get the planning in for next year as well. But we've certainly had a really good week in terms of delivering an amazing program to a cohort of people down in the Tees Valley area. Pitch Perfect was the name of the program. It was centered around basically young companies, probably those who've not really scaled yet, who are wishing to try to, I guess, develop their business acumen, but really also look into the areas of financing their business and where to go for different types of finance, and ultimately how to pitch their business successfully when they're talking to, a bank or an investor or something like that. And I think, just from the pictures that I've seen, we actually did really well because we sort of had more attendees than ever before. It was a 2-day residential in a hotel, and they actually had to put us into a bigger room because there was just too many people, which is a good sign, because even though we're hearing all the stuff that we're hearing, it means that people are up for it and people are looking for ways to innovate, to develop their business and to move forward. So it was
where's my old friend Amar? I don't seem to see him these days.
Yeah, so another, I guess, keeping us on our toes again, Amar is the international jet setter national jet setter that he is today, because he's down in London. So he is at the Halal Expo, which is the first of its type conference over a couple of days. And he's headline speaking today to introduce the expo to the attendees down there. But certainly from my last couple of days, sort of looking at that marketplace and understanding it, I've thrown a few slides together and stuff for Amar to kind of pitch today to the event and welcome people. It's just amazing, Jalf, because some of the stats around the halal economy globally are massive numbers.
Where's it held, and what is the kind of event in general?
Yeah, so what I can do here, Jalf, is I can just briefly, as ever, for the radio listeners, very helpful, but share my screen. And it's basically, if you can look at this, Jalf, it's like such an amazing thing, right? It's like the first international government-to-government, G2G, business-to-business, B2B, and consumer halal trade show. So first of its type. It's extremely well put together. there's a huge number of, if I can just move that to one side for a second, there's a huge number of sort of people attending, but it's over the 2nd and 3rd of December. So if you haven't heard about it and you want to get down there and you want to kind of understand more about how to expand and how to grow within whatever you do within the halal economy, fantastic place to go. It's at the Excel Royal Victoria Dock in London, and there's still tickets available. And if you look at all these partners here, Jalf, it's just a really wicked, you've got like Holiday Inn, you've got like Muslim Ad Network, Visit Britain, you've got like you've got the Pakistan Britain Business Council, you've got halal travel. So it's not just about food, it's about the whole lifestyle of halal travel. It's about cosmetics, it's about clothing, it's about all of this, kind of like living that life. Doubletree, Visit England, Sunborn London. There's a load of different people down there, and as we know, and as I found out, advocates and adherents to halal and the Muslim sort of belief globally now is around 25% of the world's population, which is phenomenal.
Islam is a big religion, and even if those that aren't religiously Muslims, I think there is a lot of values within Islam that can be followed without kind of having that allegiance and kind of saying that, yes, I'm a Muslim. But there's a lot of things that can be done, and it's not some of them. I mean, if I give you the example of money, I mean, our forefathers, the way that they did did business. Excuse me. Interestingly, there is with the way that Muslims like to finance their businesses. They're not supposed to either pay interest or take interest, and that's really, really big in the kind of world today. Because if you imagine you're trying to do business without loans, effectively trying to have a house without a mortgage, because you have to then pay interest, what do you do? So there is a concept of halal mortgages where you can do that without taking, I'm not quite sure how it works. You'd have to, in terms of all the details, but that's just an example of certain things. So I remember my father, when they did business, they never once took any business loans. So they would have partners who would put in. So that's why I think they used to have lots of partners back in the days when restaurants opened, because you would have 5, 6, 7 different partners coming together with bringing in funds to the table, so they don't have to go and get bank funding. Which I guess, if you imagine that your own mortgage, Dan, it was there, that property was yours, but you didn't have any money owed to the bank, everyone would be in a better position if they could pull it off somehow, or they had that understanding. So they did business without loans. They bought a house in 1968, which was to accommodate the staff, and it was on Chester Street, just in Sandyford. My dad used to earn £20 a week, which was £1,200 a year, and he spent 6 months of his savings, 600 quid, to buy a property outright. And that's how the economy used to be, 40, 50 years ago. And it's changed so drastically in the last 50 years that everyone is kind of forced down the route of having mortgages, which is actually the opposite of halal, is haram. So it's actually haram to have, it's okay to borrow money, but not to pay interest on it. But obviously the financiers in the Western governments and the Western world wouldn't kind of, you wouldn't have that scenario. And maybe it's slightly different in how some of the banks do halal funding. I'm not sure the details of how they do it, but I guess the concept is such that they do it without you having to pay interest. So that's just one example of what halal and haram can be, and how significant it is. So it'll be interesting to learn and understand what they are doing in this halal event, and how that can be utilized in in our country here, and how to benefit from it, not just those that are Muslims, but beyond that.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Jalf, I think there's a lot of stuff on policy making. It's not just like people showing up with halal goods and trying to flog them to you.
Yeah,
it's kind of like making decisions about how the future should develop. Amar in particular is going down there to talk about innovation within the sector and the economy, and how that can improve inclusiveness overall, but it can also provide people with inspiration for the next steps and what they do. I sort of sent them a little bit of research that I'd done on a marketing report that I'd found, but it was basically saying that non-Muslims, non-halal people are quite interested in halal products, and in particular in halal food, because of the way that it's been prepared and the health and safety natures and stuff like that. And then also that non-Muslim non-halal families, from an eco-tourism perspective, we're looking at travel based on those requirements, and those, and they're not Muslim, they're not religious like that, but they like the concept of how things are thought about and talked about. So it's what I'm trying to say is that it is a much more inclusive and diverse package overall for the global market than just the people who are advocates or adherents to halal.
No, I think it's a really interesting exhibition that they're doing, and I'll be quite intrigued to see what the outcome of it is. So it's a shame that it's kind of, for me, it's on a Friday and a Saturday. It makes it very challenging, but I'm sure it's going to have a big turnout, maybe especially tomorrow. I'm assuming a lot. I mean, I'm sure London, being in London, it'd be very, very, very busy. So yeah, it'll be interesting to meet up with Amar when I get a chance to find out exactly how that went.
And I think the thing is, Jalf, as obviously in our quest to connect the community in the Northeast, part of what Amar's talking about down there is our presence in the Northeast, both as a Muslim halal community, but then also like as a wider Asian community and wider, still diverse community, in terms of the economy of the area and the investment opportunities that are available up here. So if anybody does require more information, including yourself, Jalf, obviously you need to find us. You can either contact SME or ABC, and we'd be happy to share more details. I'm sure that there'll probably be some dossiers and reports coming out of the expo, and be quite happy to share those with everybody who's interested in finding out more.
Yeah, I think it'd be really, really good. Brilliant.
Cool. I'll come off this screen if I can remember how to do it. So, Jalf, it looks like you've got like you said, you're in a different restaurant today.
City centre at the moment.
Sorry?
The Dabawal in the city centre.
All right, okay.
Just off Grey Street on High Bridge.
That
was the Dabawal that we opened. We created the concept in 2008, and so yeah, it was the first one, and then from here we opened up in Jesmond, and obviously Kai after that, and we're in Phoenix as well.
Wow.
We've got a pop up in Phoenix, so for the rest of this month. So doing lots and lots of wraps and other kind of little nibbles, which is doing very well.
That's fantastic. So is that like it's all fresh food on the premises to eat there?
Fresh. Just all kind of, we prepare the food at the restaurant, obviously, because we don't have a kitchen there, but we prepare all the food here in the restaurant in the morning and then send it over to Phoenix, and then they basically put it together and serve the guests nice and fresh, and we do it on a daily basis. So it's not, operationally, it's a little bit challenging, but it's the fact that you have the partnership with Phoenix, and you have, you benefit from the Phoenix food hall, being in the food hall, because it's extremely busy at the moment, being just that time of the year. Imagine what it's going to be like in the next few weeks. Everyone going there, getting all the Christmas hampers and just going out with parties, and just the whole city centre is just buzzing, isn't it? Especially in December.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I think we've probably all got, for me, Phoenix is kind of like the Selfridges of the North, if you like. And it kind of like, it's sort of the memories that I've got of growing up in the windows around Christmas time, like it was just a tradition, sort of going down there and seeing what was in there. And some years they were better than others. And
Yeah,
but yeah, no, it's
just that.
it is a tradition. It's a British. Well, it's definitely a Northeast icon. I think it's a British icon, to be fair.
In Phoenix, there's a number of them. They're on Bond Street in London. They're in kind of Leicester and other cities around the country. But I think Newcastle one is kind of the one that they're proud of the most, probably because I think it originated from here. But as you said, it's iconic to the region. It's so important to the city. And the fact is that they are evolving and they're getting better and better. I'm quite privy to some of the plans that they've got, and they've just created this new atrium. I don't know if you've been in recently, but they've kind of knocked a hole in through all floors so you can be at the ground floor and see all the way up. The elevators are kind of nice and open, and that's just made it, added a new dimension to it. Obviously, when they did the food hall a couple of years ago, they spent about 5 million quid on that. I think there's a lot of, they've got plans to open a lot more food outlets in Phoenix, and making a little bit more dynamic, where they'll have food on different floors as opposed to just not the food hall. And it's just going to constantly evolve for the better, year on year. So that's going to be, it's really important for the city that we have something. I mean, when you have something like Phoenix, I remember years ago, I used to think that, yeah, we need a Harvey Nichols, we need a Selfridges, but I think Phoenix is ticking that box. But there will be more developments in the city centre, though. With even speaking to the directors of Phoenix, I remember they want there to be a lot more hotels to be built in the city, and they're looking into that. I think, do you know the old fire station in Pilgrim Street? That's going to be a very posh 5-star hotel.
Wow.
And that's going to be really, really important for the city, because when really, really well-to-do people are coming into the city, and there's going to be more and more of that, especially if the football kicks off and we get into Champions League. Imagine the Champions League, the UEFA people coming in, and the journalists. I mean, they would need a hotel for themselves, and they don't want to stay in with respect in an ibis. It has to be 5-star and all the luxuries that come with it. So I think the city landscape is changing, and Phoenix is at the forefront of that. It's the biggest name in terms of retail in the whole of the city. It's iconic, and we have to take our hats off, and we're very proud that they are in Newcastle, because it makes such a big plus point for us. And like, as you say, the Phoenix windows, they're historical. I mean, there'll be big queues for those, people wanting to see that. And it's part of growing up. It becomes part of your heritage and your upbringing, going to the Phoenix windows, and the excitement within the little kids that you see. It just forges their kind of life and their memories.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think a couple of things that you mentioned there, the way that Phoenix are going, excuse me, it kind of like, it really, they are kind of like at the forefront of what they're doing, because they are looking to continue to innovate. And obviously your business model is innovated as well, mutually, collaborating with them to do that, that offer that you're doing on a daily basis at the moment. And I think, just those, when things stay the same in retail, and I know because I've worked in retail, and I think when things stay the same for too long, the customers don't feel attracted to go there anymore if it's too samey. So it's a human instinct, it's a human thing, where actually the interest is brought with that small bit of innovation. Actually, largely speaking, maybe 90% of what they've got doesn't change. Adding those extra bits of value are really what enhances the experience. And it's amazing to see it.
It does, and I think people want upgrades and change, because it's just how it is. There are very, very few venues where, and they have to be extremely, extremely good. I remember going to one restaurant in London, and I went there 20 years ago, and 20 years later, I was like, wow, this is the same. And I actually loved that. But generally, apart from the exception to the rule, which that was, you kind of, I like, if I'm going to Phoenix on a regular basis, you need to be some changes, because you need to kind of, that's what attracts you. Oh yeah, this has changed and that's moved and that shuffled around, and I think that's really important, and I think they understand that, and the changes that they make, it must wow people. Think, oh wow, this is cool. Like the food hall, when that reopened, I was like, oh, this is stunning. So I think just general business practice, that's very, very important.
Yeah, I think the one thing that sort of saddened me a little bit about Phoenix was the third floor where the toys were, because that used to be like as a kid, it was just like endless. You could just get yourself lost in there. And I always remember going in and buying my first Star Wars figurines and all the rest of it, and the Millennium Falcon and all that, which I always wanted and I could never afford. My parents could never afford, and seeing all these things and the big Lego stuff. But actually, it's like the advancement of technology with gaming consoles and things like that. It's probably shrunken down.
Yeah.
For the kids who are sort of like 9+ to early teens, I feel like that's kind of been decimated by that area. No longer is there that, sort of loving, view of those films or characters or Action Man or whatever it was, sort of that was there, and that's a little bit sad. I know it's times change.
It is. And as you said, times do change, and if there's not that demand for those good old kind of action men that we used to kind of run around with, and it's different, and I guess they have to adhere to what the market wants today and tomorrow, which is a bit sad. But I guess from a retail perspective, they probably need to best utilize that space and get the max out of it, because every square foot has probably got a price on its head.
No, absolutely. So Jalf, like, just to plug it, like, because if I wanted to go down to Phoenix tomorrow and get myself some food, what kind of stuff can I get?
I mean, basically, there's a couple of things. We have because Kai is there as well. We have what we call a fire it up menu, which is cold food for you to take. You got a menu of curry and rice. You got butter chicken, Rogan Josh. You got the rice, and you got breads and papads and chicken tikkas and all of those things that's served cold for you to take home. Written instructions are there, so that's effectively your takeaway that you can pick on the way out from Phoenix and go home and reheat it and eat it at your own time. Menu is limited naturally, because obviously you have to keep a small line there, but it's kind of the products that sell the most. So that's one option. The second option is if you were in the city center and you just wanted to have a freshly made wrap as opposed to a sandwich, a cold sandwich, then you got that option, along with a samosa chat and different types of wraps and some chats, some soups and some chais. A very, very simple menu just to feed the lunch market, or you've got a gap in your tummy and you want to just get a bite in the city center. So that's what that does. We're right opposite the Cafe 21 restaurants. And you can see the boys making the food fresh right in front of your eyes. So and that's what that is there for. We've been there before, but fortunately for us, because they like what we do, they've given us the opportunity to go in December, which is a really important period, very, very busy period at the moment.
Cool. That sounds great. I'm thinking about it already. It made me feel hungry, mate. It's not even.
For that though, as I said before, you want the city center, you want it to be buzzing, and you want all of that things that we've lived and grown up with. Imagine going out in December and the shops are packed, the streets are packed, parking is difficult to find, and that's actually what makes it so special. And hopefully that'll be no different this year. There's an amazing market as well. There's an amazing market on around Gray's Monument. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. You have to really come and have a look at that, because that's added a great dimension to the city for the festive period. So that's really, really nice.
Oh, it's fantastic. It sort of feels. I spent some time living in Germany, and it sort of feels a little bit similar to the German markets that we used to go to in Nuremberg and places like that.
Yeah, I think it's quite German inspired because they do it good, haven't they? So they've gone with the best, I guess, and maybe it's brought them here. So whatever they've done, they've themed it in that way. That's really, really good. Dan, I've got about maybe 5 minutes to go. Thoughts on the World Cup then? We're now second weekend. Been enjoying it?
Yeah, I mean, before I get there to the World Cup, just from last Sunday, the report back is the women's team, the Newcastle women's team, fantastic result there, 2-1, and the goals were absolute screamers. I don't know if you saw them, but just wicked, and a great atmosphere, and really good to be in attendance. I think there was something like 29,000 there. So yeah, really good. World Cup, I think we're moving into a new phase. I think it probably feels like World Cup fever now. I certainly found myself just sort of like, what's on tonight? Like what can I watch? When can I see highlight? What can I do? And even last night with the group E, was it, with Germany and Japan and
unbelievable how that group shuffled throughout the entire match.
Yeah.
Point where the Spanish were knocked out, the Germans were going through, the Japanese were out. I mean, unbelievable. What a finale to that particular group. And the fact that the Germans are out, it's just incredible. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. No, so I think it's like sort of that in itself is a bit of a shock, right? Because of the nostalgia and the sort of the history and the fabric of the World Cup and the fabric of the teams that get down to sort of quarters and semis and stuff like that. And but I do. And my wife said to me yesterday, she's like, dear me, she's like, Asia's just taking over. Like, it's like, you look at China and economic development, and you look at, the tiger economies that are around the sort of Pacific Rim and the likes of Japan, where obviously now sport and the development that you've seen in that Japanese team has been absolutely phenomenal since the early 2000s. The investment in it, the nurturing of it, and the fact that so many of those players play outside of Japan as well. It's kind of not that I'm knocking the Japanese football leagues at all, but like, they're on the world stage and they've got the capabilities, they've got the work ethic and the passion and just the mental ability to stick with it.
I think it's like really, really interesting what you're saying. I think all of those things make a difference. I guess, for us as football mad people, all we want to see is like quality, absolute quality, and teams developing and really taking things to the next level. And I think if the competition becomes healthier, I think it's all the better.
Yeah, I mean, I know we've got the backdrop of everything else that we've talked about with the World Cup and where it is, and I'm not going to get into that. But it feels like football, regardless of hosting nations and stuff like that, is on an international stage now, and I think that's primarily what we need to talk about and what we need to concentrate on.
I think the football is beginning to talk for itself, isn't it? Because it always happens when you get into those final matches, the finale matches. I mean, the drama begins, and when you see the excitement of the crowd and the Japanese crowd, they were just incredible with all of their bandanas on and stuff. I mean, it's just like they look so cool, and so does all of the countries with their same colors on, and they've got their cultural things going on. I think it's incredible. Really looking forward to Sunday with England and playing Senegal. It'll be a very, very interesting match, but I think we should be able to get past Senegal, and hopefully, we'll probably face France in the last 8. So it's hotting up nicely, I think, and hopefully there's a lot more drama ahead.
I'm sure there will be. It kind of it just feels like it's building up to something now.
Yeah.
And I, for one, I'm a little bit scared of Senegal on Sunday. I know that they haven't got some of the big hitters there. But I just think they're, out of all the African nations, they're kind of like right up there. And I just, so I'm a little bit weary.
Well, Sadio Mane. So, Sadio Mane was the second best player in the world. So that's a huge blow to them. So, I mean, if Sadio Mane was there, I would be a little bit more nervous. But without Sadio Mane, I just think they can't be the same, because you can't get another Sadio Mane.
Yeah, I think they're missing the guy in midfield, aren't they, as well as Gonagay? The engine room. I think he got a yellow card, which is ruling him out of
Okay.
But whilst there's teams, that's just Senegal, but whilst there's teams like Japan and there's teams like Brazil and France still in this, England's gonna have to pull something magic out.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think we'll just have to see how far we can go. And look, it just depends on a lot of factors, doesn't it? I mean, it's just so much luck sometimes as well. But then, I guess that's the whole intrigue of it. You just don't really know. The big teams will be there. France and Germany, I think they're the two to watch. Sorry, France and Brazil are the two teams to watch out for. And I would put them as 1 and 2. And then, we'll see. And I think the rest of us are just slightly behind them.
Yeah, no. But no, all good. You need to disappear for your meeting, Jalf.
Off, I'm afraid. But it's really nice to catch up with you. And hopefully, maybe if we get an opportunity when Amar is back, we'll maybe catch up and maybe do a Christmas lunch or something together as a team. So that would be nice if we can do it. But yeah, hopefully we'll have the show back to normal in terms of the times next week.
No worries, but I really appreciate you coming on, Jalf, and sharing all that wealth of knowledge that you have with us. You get off, have a good meeting, have a great day, have a great weekend.
Excellent. We'll catch up with you soon. Take care.
All right, mate. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Martha, you're on mute.
Hello.
Hi, Martha. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
So just to welcome to the show, everyone, we've got Martha with us, Martha Germany from the SME Centre of Excellence. Martha is our program manager for the centre, as along with a lot of other different things that she does. But I wanted to get Martha on the show today just to talk about the program that we delivered this week down in the Tees Valley area. It was a fantastic, well, from what I've seen of the pictures and online social media, it was a fantastic event. And I just wanted sort of Martha to maybe just firstly introduce herself. I think she's been on here once or twice before, but just to remind you all who she is and what she does. And then we can have a talk about what happened in the program delivery.
I mean, you've kind of already introduced me. Don't really have anything to add. But yeah, the Pitch Perfect program is what we were doing. It was a 2-day residential at the Hardwick Hall Hotel in Durham, which was lovely. And it was Grow Tees Valley started it, and Amar and Jordan Darg and me were down there with Sahel Aslam from Teesside University. And then we had 20, I think it was 19 in the end, 19 businesses there, all learning how to pitch, which was great.
So Martha, like, just so that I'm kind of aware of this on the build up to the actual event and everything like that.
Yeah.
And just for, people's reference going forwards and other programs that we may have that are for business owners. Can you just like sort of give me a little bit of insight about the type of business that was coming onto this and how they heard about it and what they were looking to do and just how the whole thing came together?
Yeah. So the businesses, the program is specifically for businesses in the Tees Valley. because the funding is through the Tees Valley Combined Authority, Teesside University, Grow Tees Valley. And it's for SMEs, so small to medium enterprises. So we can't have anyone like, you know,
like a
Tesco,
McDonald's or
yeah, or
something like that,
McDonald's or whatever. They can't take part. But it's for anyone who employs, I think it's fewer than 250 people, turnover less than 50 million euros. So most independent businesses in the Tees Valley would have been able to take part. Most of our businesses, the 20, were either startups, so fairly new, or they were quite well established but looking to sort of like take the next step in their business journey. So for example, we have one business, Amphasaka Yoga. So they were looking to franchise. They've sort of established themselves and now they're looking for their next adventure.
That's great. And what I mean, so that was a yoga business, and
Yes.
what are the types of, is there sort of like, you know, well, just give me a flavor of some of the other types of business that were on there.
We had cocktail business.
Wow. Did they bring some cocktails?
They didn't, unfortunately. We had events, trying to go around the table as they were sitting. I'm trying to remember. Gaming business.
Wow.
We had property, investment, that sort of thing.
So really diverse, not
Yeah.
like, I mean, that just sounds like it could be really valuable for you know, for those types of businesses. I did detect from what I'd seen on social media about the programs that there's been some success from sort of previous participants and participants of some of our other programs as well. But was there somebody that came to deliver some sort of keynote speech, or was there other people that were there that were the past participants?
Yes. So we had one of our past participants, Mags Bradshaw, who runs My Marketing Button, and she came and did a little workshop at the end yesterday, actually, just about the importance of marketing and marketing to investors and what the sort of things that businesses might need to think about that they hadn't yet considered. And she'd been on the first Pitch Perfect cohort 18 months ago or so.
Wow.
So obviously she's grown and sort of expanded and pivoted a little bit since then, which is great to see. But we've also had so yesterday we had Deloitte from the Newcastle office, and it's awful, but I've completely forgotten his name who dialed in, but he joined for 15 minutes on Zoom, and he was talking about SEIS and EIS, which is all about not quite sure I understand it, about tax for investors, getting that sorted. And we had the 101 regiment, which is Amar's regiment, come in the morning, and they did some leadership training exercises.
Is that the army?
Yes.
Wow. Wow, what were they doing?
Leadership training. So they 7:30 in the morning, out in the cold. We were well, there was one activity with whistles and blindfolds.
Right.
And there was another one with massive tires and traffic cones. And then there was another one that I didn't get to do, but there were barrels and planks of wood, and it looked very complicated. But yeah, no, that was good fun.
It sounds like something off the TV. So that was like an army boot camp at 7:30 in the morning for all these business leaders to get them ready for the day and sort of get their minds in the right place, mindset and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I think they were a bit worried that we were going to make them do push-ups and running around the field, but wasn't that.
Fantastic. So that was a 2-day event at Hardwick Hall, and it sounds like I believe it was only just the start of the program. Is that right?
Yes. So there's going to be a pitch day that we'll be organizing in a few months, and just try and build a bit of a community with them, because everyone obviously there They were never met before, but they all bonded. They're in the same position, unsure of what they're doing. So a little bit about building a network and just trying to keep that network going. Going to try and get a couple more different workshops of things that we didn't manage to fit in the 2 days going, building up to this pitch day eventually.
So that means there's like just a bit of stuff for them to do between now and their pitch day. Is that with like sort of guided learning online or virtually or in groups, or how does that work?
It will be a bit of individual work in preparation for the pitch day, a bit in groups, guided learning, bit of one-to-one learning, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Cool. Is there, obviously within the work that you do at the SME Centre of Excellence, is there other programs that you've got running at the moment, or other programs that are coming up that people can get involved in?
Well, I think the key one is the internationalization program, Adventure Builders, which we've got coming up. I think it's launching at the end of January, beginning of February. So that's for, again, businesses in the Tees Valley, SMEs, but the ones who are a bit more established, maybe who are looking to expand, start trading internationally rather than just nationally, and who just need a little bit of advice and getting going with that.
So just for the purposes of, because I was just doing a bit of research before and I was looking at this online, Martha, I just wanted to flash it up. I hope you can excuse me, tell me if it's correct, but I was looking at so it's called Adventure Builder, right?
Yeah.
Can you see my screen?
Yes. Yeah.
And so are you looking to expand your global footprint beyond the UK markets? Sign up to our Adventure Builder breakfast event now. So it's the 31st of January 2023. It says places on this program are extremely limited and allocated on first come, first served basis. It says a new program to help you innovate internationally and explore new markets. Adventure Builder is a brand new program designed to equip businesses with the skills, knowledge, and confidence to grow internationally. That sounds pretty powerful, Martha.
Yeah.
So I mean that sounds like it could be, if you're a smaller business and you feel like you've saturated your local or national kind of marketplace, then the next best place to look is overseas, right? But that can be a bit unnerving because you just don't know what to find. So I guess ultimately within this, it's sort of saying that you're going to be able to understand international business legislation. I guess that includes laws and stuff like that. Then also there's this really interesting bit about cultural and religious aspects as well of trading overseas, which you do need to be very aware of. I spoke to Amar a bit about this, and he was saying, we've got like a long list of in-country experts that we can kick into and kind of like plug into and talk to sort of help businesses get themselves going, get themselves off the ground. So that's January. So, and it looks like potentially yes. So you can fill in the form now. So if you register on the Tees Valley Business Hub website, you can get your place sorted now. I think there is only something like 12 places for this this program. So I know it's going to go quick, but basically get in touch with us here at ABC or SME, or look at the different websites, the SME website, it's on there too, and register for this program, which will be fantastic. And again, Martha, costs involved with this program?
It's all fully funded, so no cost to you. You just need to make sure you haven't yet received 200,000 euros worth of grant funding in the last 3 years, which I'm sure most people won't have done.
I bet you've never met anybody that's received that much funding, have you, Martha?
No, I haven't.
And how many people have you recruited? Hundreds, I guess.
A lot, yeah.
Yeah. So it's wide open, guys. Really worthwhile looking at. Get in touch with us if you would like to know more about that. And then the other thing I just wanted to touch base on, Martha, because I know it's quite poignant and in your mind, and the Yola Strive to Thrive organization and application of innovation mindset, skill set, tool set. The new program, or the newest program that we've got. I just wanted to touch base on that a little bit more, Martha, and kind of like open that out to explain it, because I sometimes sit on this show with the slide behind me. I don't get to talk about Yola that much, and I know that you're an expert in Yola, and I just wanted to kind of like, have you give me the sort of overview about, because I think it's a qualification, right? Just give me an overview.
So it's a level 6 qualification. I think it's 30 hours of guided learning plus then your own individual work. But it's a business model innovation program, and it's basically designed to try and help you, well, either if you're trying to start up a business, think of an idea, and then get it ready, go through the whole sort of validation process and get it ready to pitch. Or even if it's not a business idea, it's a project that you want to work on at work. Get your project idea ready, go through the validation, work out who needs to be involved, what resources you need, and then build out the value proposition of it, everything for it, a pitch deck for it, and then be ready to present that to whoever the stakeholders would be that would need to be involved in that. I mean,
so it's a level 6. That's quite a high level qualification. And is it accredited by a body? Yes,
SVEDI. I couldn't tell you what that stands for.
SVEDI, I think I understand what that is, but it's also part of the Institute of Entrepreneurs and Enterprise.
ICC, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. So it's full accreditation, and the delivery of Yola isn't it handled through like a modular sort of system? Is there different aspects to it, like that, you don't do the whole thing in one burst, you sort of have different that's what I'm led to believe, is that it's different modules that reflect on different trainings.
Different modules. I think it's 6 modules, although if that needs to be adjusted individually to the group, then that can be adjusted. But 6 modules makes 30 hours, so about 5 hours each. So it works out quite nice, sort of spread out over a bit of time to allow you to do the work in between.
It sounds good. I mean, certainly I know that some of the practices that I've seen put in place here and with some of the organizations that are quite close to us have worked amazingly. Just from people being able to sort of think differently through the use of visual tools to actually come up with really innovative solutions. Sometimes, as a business owner, you kind of sat there and your business is churning and it's kind of moving along, and you've got your income and you've got your outgoings, and you may be making a living, and that might be all well and good. But are you actually sort of invested in trying to do it the best and most efficient way that you can do, or the most innovative way that you can do? And I think that's the thing that I read into Yola when I was thinking about, business model innovation. What does that mean? It's more about potentially changing the way that your business operates, rather than coming up with a brand new product or service. It might just be a very small tweak, it might be a massive tweak, but certainly some of the stuff that I've seen that people have become aware of it's resulted in like absolutely ground shaking changes and transformations for their business.
I mean, it could be something as simple as introducing a subscription model payment system to give people a different choice, and then that creates sort of a monthly steady income rather than just selling a product. Simple as that. Or it could be completely pivoting. Can't think of an example, but yeah, anything.
Well,
it could
I
make
mean,
a
certainly
massive
all,
difference.
all those the biggest organizations in the world right now, like the Amazons it used to be a bookstore, right?
Yeah.
So look at the way that's pivoted through the years to become what it's become. But is there there's some work that you're doing with the AHSN, I believe, Martha, at the moment? Is that right?
Yes. Yeah, they're just coming to the end of their teaching.
So
part.
who is the AHSN? Just for the listeners' benefit, I'm just kind of conscious that they may with the world of the NHS, it's the worlds of acronyms, and be good for them to just understand who it is that we're working with.
They are the Academic Health Science Network, and we're working specifically with the North East and North Cumbria branch. And they are sort of one of the innovation arms of the NHS.
So that's that makes perfect sense. My understanding is that there's now going to be an integrated care board, which is going to streamline the whole NHS and make it better over the years, and that this body is the group of people who are going to be delivering innovation into the NHS. It's almost like the interface between the commercial and the public sphere. So really poignant, and good results with those guys. You kind of almost through the program now, and
it's worked out. Got some projects, and I think our last workshop with them will be next week, and we're looking forward to seeing their pictures.
Good stuff. Well, Martha, I wanted to thank you for being on the show today. It's really useful to get the insights into what you're doing, just so that I know more about what you're doing, and so that we can explain to the world what we as an organization are doing. Obviously, to significantly change lives and move people forward in the business world. I believe that we'll hear from Amar at some point soon about his keynote speech this morning at the Halal Expo. Please check out our social media feeds across ABC, across SME, and across Yola today and going forward. And if you've got any questions, you can hit us up on abconnections.com or the SME COV, Centre of Excellence.com website also. And we will be happy to share with you anything that we've spoken about today on the show, and take things forward and rejoice in the weekend, which is upon us.
Yes.
So I will say bye to Martha.
Bye.
And bye to all our listeners. And I wish you all the best. And we'll speak soon. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
For the community, by the community. Spice FM 98.8 FM.
Labour has retained the